Hi and hello everyone. EAD 5001 Hubungan Kemanusiaan dalam Pendidikan Human Relations in Education. I'm Bhavani Arjunan. I'm going to present my concept paper today. The title of my concept paper is Communication, and my concept paper will be focusing on organizational communication. Let's look into our introduction. What is organizational communication? Organizational communication is the sharing of messages by sending or accepting the messages by interconnected people inside a specific environment or setting to accomplish individual and shared targets. Messages which are channeled may be through language, sound, gestures, and others, and this message must be able to be shared together by members in the organization. Communication in the organization can affect the management of the organization. The effective communication practiced by the member will produce maximum job satisfaction and can affect the quality of work produced. Besides, organizational communication assists us with completing assignments, identifying the explicit jobs and duties of deals, administrations and creation, individual and organizational ingenuity and transformation are expected to react to changes. Organizational communication additionally helps the organizational individuals to finish the assignments through the upkeep of strategy, methodology, or guidelines that help everyday and ceaseless tasks. Effective communication additionally helps the improvement of connections by coordinating, arranging, and controlling the activities of the organization through administration. Organizational communication also discusses the structure and functions of the organization, human relations, communication, and organizational processes and organizational culture. Communication that exists in an organization is intended to convey true and accurate information to all members in the organization so that organizational performance can be improved. Every organization is interested in individuals who can adhere to and give directions and simultaneously who could precisely tune in to give helpful criticism. Building connections and cooperation is the focal point of the organizational communication, where it can obviously characterize how organizations address, present, and establish their organizational environment. It also includes the ability to communicate in complicated and changing circumstances, as well as having the aptitude or motivation to communicate in appropriate manners. There are lots of variations of definitions available to describe the term and functions of the organizational communication. Let's look at the definitions and concepts. Organizational communication can be divided into two: formal communication and informal communication. Formal communication involves sharing of official information with others who acquires it, and on the other hand, informal communication is sharing of information with friends, peers, and which has no skeleton as the formal communication. Informal communication, also not defined by the organization's hierarchy, it allows the school members to satisfy their need for social interaction. Communications can happen in three directions, namely as lateral or horizontal, upward and downward communication as shown in the diagram. Upward communication involves problems and exceptions, suggestions for improvement and performance reports, where downward communication focuses on implementation of goals, strategies, job satisfactions, and performance feedback. Horizontal or lateral communication is all about intradepartmental problem solving and change initiatives. According to Candida's 2019, organizational communication is firmly associated with organizational conduct, where the order of social psychology contributes a great deal to hypothesis of communication and then again interconnected with use of the communication frameworks. Contextual communication, which happens in a climate created by the interpersonal relationships between people where attitudes and behavior cannot be studied in isolation. Kim and Silver 2016 has also stated that communication is additionally characterized as the main action in an organization where connections outgrow communication. Contextual communication, which occurs in an environment created by the interpersonal relationships between people where attitudes and behavior cannot be studied in isolation. Most important activity in an organization where relationships grow out of communication. In effective communication between individuals and groups is a fundamental need which decides the operation and survival of the organization. Internal organizational communication involves a set of procedures and organized communication exchanges, participates in the construction of numerous definitions of problematic situations underlying the understanding and behavior of employees. Cultural aspects of communication in the professions mentioned communication as a multifaceted and complex phenomenon that can take varied form, which can occur on varied level and exhibit a range of characteristics. Other than that, the students likewise should be prepared and uncovered in the troublesome degree of pursuing circumstances to choose suitable reactions. Establishing a comprehensive learning climate for all the students with difference to communications instruction is an essential job of every single teachers all throughout the planet to elevate the communication ability among the students, everything being equal. Instructing as well as should be considered by instructors to suit the social variety and value among the students. Besides that, organizational communication is seen as the central binding force that permits coordination and among people and thus allows for organized behavior. Communication is the best way to understand individuals' behavior in an organization. Organizational communication is very important to improve overall organizational functioning. Let us move on to theories and models. There are heaps of theories and models exist to depict the communication. The essential guideline of communication is the place where the sender sends message and the collector get the message. As you can see in the diagram, the noise all through the communication will pass by a channel. The message sent will go through an encoding and deciphering measure prior to entering a channel. The noise will be going through a similar encoding and translating measure before the reception get message. Aside from the essential theories, organizational communication is characterized uniquely in contrast to the normal communication. Organizational communication is viewed as a vital component of formal environment. The setting of messages sent from a sender to a collector is affected by the field of involvement. Input got in organizational communication ordinarily consider the experience of the coordinators and sub-coordinators. Organization communication is defined differently from the routine communication. Organizational communication is seen as a key element of organizational climate. The context of messages sent from a sender to a receiver is influenced by the field of experience. Feedback received in an organizational communication usually consider the experience of the coordinators and subordinates. Theory of bureaucratic organizational structure was defined clearly as in the diagram. Communication process happens within an organization was described meaningfully too. Organizations have clearly defined roles, obligations, which results in hierarchical, organized, and direct communication. This theory supports messages being sent from the top where it is believed it will avoid confusion among the sender and receiver of the message. Organizations have rigid machine-like systems in which each person contributes by well-specified and explicit roles and responsibilities. Organization members' capabilities and seniority determined by fixed notions as given priority when allocating work under this theory. It's all about the Weber's bureaucracy theory. Let's just look at Tompkins and Cheney's organizational control theory. Organizational control theory. This theory is best applied for the organizations which are moved from regulatory mode. This theory includes four sorts of control specifically as straightforward, specialized, regulatory, and concretive. This theory decides how organizations practice power inside an organization. The application of this theory in an organization support the member of an organizations to know and accomplish the reason, mission, and vision of the organization and simultaneously help the individuals know the assumption on them. Next, we will be looking at the previous studies relating to the organizational communications. According to Hora, 2019 stated that successful communication can improve and foster representatives' commitment. Lottie August 2021 in another study found that communications inside the interior organizations that utilizing present-day devices for worker commitment. Mayer in 2018 likewise recognized miscommunication is a factor that prompts data storehouses. Correctly focused communication can assist with keeping away from data loss in an organization. Effective communication can improve and develop employees' engagement. Besides that, top internal communication usually shown by the leadership communication where it literally shows the engagement of the employees. Besides that, the other studies also stated that coaching, supporting and reminding leaders the importance of communication is the role of the internal communication. Communications within the internet organizations that using modern tools for employee engagement. Miscommunication is a factor that leads to information silos. Correctly focused communication can help to avoid information lost in an organization. Wexler and Boren 2017 reveal a lot of unimportant data when through communication in an organization can prompt pressure, withdrawal, dissatisfaction which can cause lower representative maintenance. Productivity of the organizational members could be increased through effective communication. It is difficult to keep an effective inter-organizational communication without a proper communication skill. A transparent and open way communication can create much healthier work atmosphere, employee motivation and satisfaction. The customer is focused on the students or the learners where good content communication surely will lead to greater achievement of the learners. Without a proper organizational communication structure, the whole organizational knowledge will suffer. Effective organizational communication also can improve knowledge sharing best practices. Other studies also shows that too much irrelevant information passed through communication in an organization can lead to stress, disengagement, frustration which can cause lower employee retention. Good and developed communication skill also have a significant positive impact on how remote teams collaborate and feel in an organization. The members of an organization need to be able to communicate and collaborate easily to improve interdepartmental communication. Conclusion. Communications and engagement have become extremely important, which caused the evaluation of new tools. All the educational institutions must be ready to adapt to new technologies to improve their organizational efforts. An effective communication among the organizational members could create a successful working environment. Organization's success is completely falling on a good organizational communication. That's all from me. Thank you for listening.